Hi all. So November is a massive month within regards to men's health, men's mental health. And I just wanted to take a bit of a different step and a different direction with this and sort of like try and bring a bit of an insight to things with regards to men's health. Most importantly, with regards to testicular cancer. Now, I am in a position where I have a mod who a lot of you know if you're regulars to my stream, who is Carl. Carl is a 2-time survivor of testicular cancer. He has a wonderful sense of humor with regards to it. If you know him, you will know his gamer tag is Dunking No Nuts. So yeah, he's one of them kind of. He's just phenomenal. He really is. And when you hear his story and you understand what this gentleman's been through, for him to still have this sort of sense of humor that he has and everything, you'll understand just how strong he is. And for him to be able to come and do this interview as well, I'm hoping that it highlights health of men in general, but I'm hoping it encourages more men to go and get themselves checked. Okay, because you never know, it might just save your life. So without like going any more, I'm gonna get you into the interview with himself. So hopefully people take something out of this. So cheers. So Carl, just a quick question, buddy. How big is the month of November for you? I mean, what does it personally mean for you this month?
It's basically cancer awareness for guys. With obviously Movember, growing your beard and mustaches, whatever you want to do. But it's more about the fact that people raise money for the charities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's giving an insight into men's cancer that years ago wasn't around. There wasn't insight into any cancers. Thank God there is now. I don't think we would be here if it was.
Yeah, because I mean, I know, like, obviously you've been affected by testicular cancer.
Twice, yes.
Yeah, twice, and quite. And we'll go into that in a little bit more down the line in the video. But how long ago was it that you actually contracted testicular cancer?
It was 10 years ago in March. It was, I think we found out, it was a week before we got married.
A week before you got married?
Yeah.
Jeez.
We found out that we had it, or I had it, but we was lucky because we was going through IVF treatment, and obviously part of the IVF treatment was to check Gail and myself to make sure we was okay.
Yeah.
And everything funky over. And Gail went for scans and all that. Gail come back, she was okay, everything was fine. I went for an ultrasound on the testicles, and it was a case of get on the bed, drop your pants, let me have a look. He started moving the ultrasound dongle around, and he suddenly started going, oh. And that's when alarm bells started ringing, because he started taking pictures, and he was basically sat next to me. He's like, oh, taking a picture of this, taking a picture of that, zooming in, squaring it off, grabbing it, and pulling it off. So I just said, is this anything I should be concerned about? His answer was, I'm only the ultrasoundist. I'm not qualified to give you these answers. But
which is fair enough.
Yeah, which is perfect. Like, perfect reason. He doesn't.
But at the same point, you're like, could you keep the noises down?
Yeah. Like, okay. So I literally walked out of it was Liverpool's Women's Hospital, of all places, but that's where we was being treated. And I got on the phone straight to Gail, and said, I think there's something wrong. He said, because he's took a load of pictures and he won't give me any answers. Said, but he said the doctor will be in touch. And the doctor was in touch within, I think it was 2 days.
2 days. Damn.
Yeah, we need to see you. So I said, right, okay. So we headed back to Liverpool Women's Hospital. Saw the facility guy. Now you got to remember, this is only the facility guy doing the IVF, and he says, we found something. He says, I need to transfer you over. I says, right. I says, is this cancer? He says, I'm not qualified to say yes or no.
Right.
I said, I understand. I says, where am I being transferred to? He said, well, the answer's going to be in where I'm going to tell you where you're going. He says, you're going to the Linda McCartney suite at Liverpool Royal, which is the cancer ward. So I said, right, okay. He said, you'll have an appointment within the next couple of days. So right, next thing you know, we came out of there devastated, thinking, right, what do we do? Do we tell family, because we're now getting married in like 5 days, 6 days? What do we do? We then, I think it was virtually the next day, got a phone call. Can you come to Linda McCartney? We said, yep. We saw Dr. Fordham, I think it was. And he basically said, it looks like you've got cancer. He says, we can't say if it is cancer or if it's not cancer. He said, because we can't do a biopsy on your testicle. He says, we have to remove it. So, right, okay. So
Jesus.
let's get it done. He says, right, okay. He says, can we book you in for the 28th of March? Both me and Gail said no. He said, what do you mean no? I says, that's the day we actually get married.
Yeah, which
He
is
said,
understandable.
oh, right. He says, right, I will give you 2 weeks grace. He says, we will do it sort of like 2 weeks after your wedding. So in the meantime, I had 2 weeks of having to go to Liverpool Women's Hospital to actually put sperm donations into the bank.
Right.
So, because obviously we wanted children, but obviously losing a testicle was going to make it quite hard.
Yep.
So I was going virtually every day to put a deposit in to the sperm bank, which was quite strange, very strange.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially with what's happening and everything, it's quite a surreal.
So we got married. We basically told family straight away that, look, we think we've got testicular cancer, but we don't know until we get the results of having the testicle removed.
Yeah.
That's the only way they can find out. And it was basically get it out, freeze it, slice and dice it, look at it. And that's where we ended up. I went on the operating theatre. I think it was about 13th, 14th of April. And it should have been in and out within a day. But I developed a hematoma in my scrotum that weighed 2.75 kilo.
Jesus.
The surgeon nicked a vessel on the way out and didn't realise. And when they stitched me up, and it just swollen. So I come out and I was in hospital for about 4 days.
Jesus.
And then recovery was normally like 5 days and then back to work. I was off work for 12 weeks. My then wife had to work, your Gail, as you know her, had to work 2 full-time jobs to keep a roof over our head. Because obviously I was SSP.
Yeah.
So
damn.
that's how it started.
It sounds like quite a quick progression as well. I mean, obviously they couldn't tell you when it started.
No, they actually, after they dissected it and looked at it, it had only just started.
Right. Okay. So they caught it early.
They caught it quite early because it hadn't multiplied into a cell. It was still in the germs. It was still gathering. It
Right.
was in a patient in the testicle.
So you didn't show any symptoms or anything?
No symptoms. No symptoms. No lumps. I had a brother that had testicular cancer, or stepbrother.
So does it run in your family then?
No, because my stepbrother is my stepmom's son, but not my dad's. But
Right, okay.
I have my brother, my stepbrother, my half brother, my stepbrother, sorry, and my sister. So my half brother, both of his stepbrothers have had testicular cancer. So we got him to check, and he's up to now. He's fine.
Right. So literally, it's in some ways it was like a stroke of luck in a way. It was lucky but unlucky at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, without showing any symptoms or anything, you never got checked, would you?
No, wouldn't have done anything. Because I checked, but there was no lumps, no bumps, or anything. There was no change.
Did you check yourself before anyway, or?
Yeah, because obviously my stepbrother obviously had testicular cancer, so I was like, well, I'll check anyway, even though he's not blood related. I will check.
Yeah.
Oh, and it just nothing happened. He was like, well, okay, carry on.
Jesus.
And like, had we not gone for IVF treatment, where would I be?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, luckily, you check anyway, but obviously, there's a lot of men out there that don't check, which is a lot of what November is actually about anyway. Is obviously men checking themselves for lumps, bumps, or around your testicles, everything else. Anyway, I mean, obviously, this isn't a medical advice or anything else. So we're not going to go. I'm not going to go into sort of like how to check or anything else. That's not. This is like just more to bring awareness to like the reason why and how people are affected by this. And I mean, up until what? I mean, November has only really been sort of like a thing for like the last 5 years.
5-6 years. I reckon.
It's not been like massive thing, and even now, it's still a very taboo subject.
Yeah,
which is quite hard when you actually think about it. I mean, somebody like yourself who's been through it twice, and we'll get onto the second one, the second stage in a minute. But it must really grind your gears.
It does. It's more needs to be done about testicular cancer. We always tell, like my nephews, make sure they check the boys, because even at a young age you can get testicular cancer.
Yeah,
it's surprising. Even before puberty, you can actually get testicular cancer, which is very scary. It doesn't hold back anyone.
No, which is why this month is so vital, and this is why I wanted to do this interview with yourself. Obviously, somebody who's been through it. So I mean, I was going to ask you, did they take any extreme measures? But I think they took the most extreme measure they could. But I didn't realise that it was the only way they could tell was removal.
Yeah, that's the only way.
I had no idea.
The testicle is possibly the most delicate piece of equipment a male has. It
Obviously.
can't be dissected. Well, it can be dissected, but it has to be removed to get it out to have a look at it.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know if they treated with like traditional, like chemo or anything.
If you get testicular cancer, I can guarantee you're losing your boy. It's going.
Right. Okay.
That's the only way.
Again, I didn't know. So, I mean, that information is. I mean, I've been educated, so it's quite scary to go through it once. But then, what time period was it between your first bout and your second bout? And what made? I mean, did you find something, or was it again?
No. Of all the things, I was on my very last scan of 5 years to be classed as being in remission.
Right. Okay.
Was my last scan. It was different hospital at Halton in Warrington, and went in. Obviously, dropped the pants, lay on the table. He started doing it, and same thing happened again. He was like, oh. And as soon as he did that, I looked at the screen and he was away. Click, 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 click. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, no. So I come out. As soon as I'd done, I asked him the same. Is this what I think it is? I'm not qualified. Can't help you with that. I'm sorry, sir. I said, right, okay, no worries. I'm presuming I'll be hearing my doctor in 24, 48 hours. Left it that. As soon as I come out, straight on the phone, straight to Gail. And I broke down again. And I literally broke down. It was a case of, it's back. She said, what do you mean? I said, it's exactly the same thing has happened again. I says, so let's see what's going to happen. She said, right, okay, we'll face it. And I give Gail credit. She was the second time. The first time I was strong, I was okay about it. Second time, I broke down.
Which is, I mean, mate, I'll be honest with you, if you didn't, there'd be something wrong.
Yeah. I just went to pieces. I was crying. I'd lost it. Gail was like, come on, we faced it once. We can do it again. Let's push on. Let's see. So we went bed. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't tell the family straight away. The next day, I got a phone call from Delamere Suite at Halton Hospital to say, would I be able to go to the hospital on the following day at 9 o'clock in the morning? So I'll be there. Said, no worries, I'll be there. So don't worry about it. I rang in work. I told them what had happened. They're like, right, fine, no problem. We'll cover your shift straight away. Now, this was beginning of December. I'm going to say something like the 9th, 10th of December.
Jesus. So major points in your life, really. So just before your wedding, and then just before Christmas as well.
Yeah. And it was a case of, right, okay. We got up that morning. I put a brave face on. I was like, right, okay, we can do this. Gail talked to me. She drove us there. She talked to me. I got to the cancer suite. I saw all the people and I snapped out of it. Walked into the doctor, called me in, female doctor. And I walked in and said, and before I sat down, I said, right, when we're taking the boy out, what's happening?
I bet the look on her face was priceless.
Well, she was like, you know, I said, well, obviously I do know. I said, I've been through it once. This is the second time. I says, but I'm now in the mindset like, let's get it out. Let's get it done. She said, right, okay. Says, we're looking to get you operated on within, I think it was 10 days. Says, right, okay, no worries. And that's how it was left. She said, the oncologist will get in contact with you. Says, you'll be done at Warrington Hospital. He says, you'll have to go in for your pre-op and everything like that. He says, but you'll be rushed. And it was literally about the 17th of December I went in.
Jesus.
So
again, they didn't hang around.
No, didn't hang around at all. Went in, saw the oncologist. This time, different attitude. Says, right, we're going to do it. It's going to be done. Says, you're going to have you lose your testicle. Not a problem. He says, now, if you want, you can have a fake one put in. Or you can have nothing put in. I undernard, and in the end, it was like, well, I'll have a fake one put in. And something's got to be there to make me, so I know it's there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I was gone. I was not feeling it. So we literally left the hospital. We got the pre-op done. And then it was the forms of consent at Warrington. I went in at 7 o'clock in the morning. The operation lasted, I think it was 2.5 hours. And I was in and out, fake one put in. And I come out. Then the oncologist says, right, you now need chemo.
Right.
Said, right, okay. He says, but we'll give you the results of your cancer once we've done the biopsy again. I said, right, okay. He said, but we'll let the oncologist deal with that.
Yeah.
So we got Christmas out of the way. Where it was just before New Year, we went to see the oncologist at Liverpool Royal. Yeah, a year after Gail's dad died, sadly to cancer again.
Jesus.
We saw the oncologist, Dr. Khan. I cannot praise him enough for helping me the way he has. Absolutely brilliant. It was comical because we were sat in the waiting room and Gail said, "What would you do if it's a camp doctor?" I said, "There's nothing you can do." He said he's going to have a look at my wound and everything like that, and talk. And he did, and he was the campest doctor you could ever see. He's like come in and he straight away put his hand on my knee and was sort of like reassuring me everything's going to be all right. I'm like, right, okay. He then ran me through figures. He says, "I can tell you now, you're probably the most unluckiest person I know." He says, "You've had testicular cancer once." He says, "You've now got testicular cancer twice." He says, "But you've had 2 different types of cancer."
Is that rare?
Very, very
Right.
rare. The first one was classed as stem cell. The second one was full blown cancer. It was a tumor in the testicle. And he then said, "Right, we need to give you chemo." Says it'll be 1 bag of chemo that we'll give you. So, but we've got to give you tests before you go in.
Right.
You've got to have, I think it's a kidney function test, which was another day spent in Liverpool Royal while they injected a little bit of chemo into me. And then I had to give blood tests every hour to see how my body was reacting to it, to make sure it's flushing it. Done that. And then it was a case of, I think it was January 16th, something like that, was the day I went in for chemo.
Jesus.
And that was heartbreaking to actually
I can
go
imagine.
on chemo ward. And not for me for being heartbroken, but seeing other people.
Yeah.
Seeing in a worse situation than I was.
Even though your situation was extreme.
Yeah. I was looking at other people, seeing how it was affecting them and not looking at myself.
Says a lot about you as a character, as a person, really.
There was a little old lady sat next to me. She didn't have any offence. She was just going through it. There was people around. And the nurses were absolutely brilliant. They sat with us. They came in and explained what they're going to do. They put a line in my wrist, flushed me, put the chemo in, put some saline in behind it. It took about, was it an hour and a half? About an hour and a half to get the drug in. And then it was just wait a bit to see if you're okay. And then it was basically go home, get in bed, and stay safe for the next sort of like 2 weeks.
So basically like isolation sort of thing.
Yeah, basically. Like what we do with COVID. It's basically yourself and keep your eye on your temperature. If you go above, I think it was 36 point something, I had a number to ring for Clatterbridge, and they would advise me if I need to come in or not.
Jesus.
So that was it. That's how
it's like never-ending story, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. I mean, are you on any medication now for it, or?
Not for cancer. I am for me. I'm on something called libido, which is basically a testosterone replacement. Because obviously, not having the 2 boys, you don't produce your own testosterone. So I tried the testosterone injection when I first had the second cancer, and they tried to give me testosterone in place because obviously I lost all my energy, everything like that. I just didn't have no well-being, or energy in my body to help. So they put me on libido, and it's injected into your bottom.
Nice.
And the first time they done it, the nurse done it too fast and gave me an anaphylactic reaction to it.
Jesus Christ.
So in the doctors and suddenly tingling in my throat and couldn't breathe and scared the whole doctors. And ended up to A&E to be told I've had an anaphylactic reaction. So they then put me on testosterone gel, which was terrible for me. It didn't work.
Right.
But fight for 3-4 years to try the injection again to see if they would do the injection again, and let's see if we could do it again. I had to switch my endocrinologist, which is the guy that looks after my testosterone levels and my wellness.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to another hospital at St Helens, and they agreed to try the injection. So it was under controlled environment, which actually meant doctor, nurse, and full paramedic team and crash team.
Just in case.
Case it all went Pete Tong. But luckily, they actually did it correctly, and it's a slow injection. It's got to be done over about 2 minutes. To inject slowly into your bottom. So, and now I'm not saying I'm 100% better, but I'm slightly better. I've got a bit more energy.
I was going to say, how does it affect your daily life?
Daily life without the injection, when I was on the testosterone, I was terrible. Lethargic. Concentration was not there. The sexual urge wasn't there at all.
Which is understandable.
Well, yeah, it's understandable, but it's also unfair on the wife. Yeah,
I was gonna say, how does it affect Gail?
Now it's slowly improving. I've had, I think it's my 5th or 6th injection of the testosterone injection.
And how often are they?
Say again?
How often are they?
They originally there was every 12 weeks. They've now gone to every 10 weeks. They're possibly moving again to every 8 weeks because they monitor how fast the actual testosterone drops out your body. So obviously it goes in, and within a couple of days you spike up.
Yeah.
And once you spike up, you obviously start coming down.
So, it's a bit like the B12, isn't it? B12, yeah. You get a massive influx, then all of a sudden you just start to
pitter down, and that's what they want to try and get me. So I'm at an even keel. So it could be every 8 weeks I've got to go and see the endocrinologist in a couple of weeks, just before Christmas. And probably again it'll be blood test just to see where we're at and when the last injection was, and so we can get a level. Normally they take the blood 2 weeks before your next injection is due.
Yeah.
So they get a baseline of where you're up to.
Right. It sounds, without like putting too much onto it, but, and I don't want to use this phrase, but it sounds like a ball ache, which is the only way I can word it.
You know me,
mate. Of course I know you. You're fucking gamer tag is dunking no nuts. Of course, I know you too well. But it's just one of them. Do you know? It's just like there's no other way of wording it apart from
snowballs at Christmas. Yeah, snowballs at Christmas. Or frosting.
See, but the thing that amazes me the most is you've been through all this, but yet you still have such a positive attitude. You still have like this
you really got
comical side to you.
If you don't, if I didn't and I kept it all in, I'd have probably killed myself, mate. Honestly.
Which is fair enough.
Gail found me a men's mental health group called Directions to Men. And that basically saved myself, but it also saved our marriage because I kept everything bottled up.
Which you do as a man. You do.
You're told to wear a mask. You're taught to wear a mask.
Even from a young age.
Yeah. You go in, someone asks you, how you doing? I'm fine. I'm great, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Best thing you can do is ask him again, and then see if they say, "No, I
I
won't."
think from a male point of view, you can kind of when you talk to another bloke, you can tell instantly if their answer's bullshit or not.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things that you pick up on, but even then, you feel not obligated, but you feel awkward.
Yes.
Trying to force it out of somebody, even though you know that something's not right.
Yeah.
It is hard. It is hard.
I'll give you that. It is hard. It's like you said, where the men go to have a chat or go and meet up, the pub.
Yeah.
It's not the best place to go and have a chat about how you're feeling and all that, because you just want to laugh and joke. You in a pub
It's
and
just us, isn't it?
it's just one of those.
It is, mate. It is. I mean, I know this month is obviously Men's Health Month and everything else being November. Yeah. Do you still think that there's enough being done?
No.
Do you think it should be longer than a month?
I think possibly November, December, or October, November. 2 months, or even all year round. It needs publicity. Why just 1 month? It's not 1 month in the year when people die of testicular cancer.
I'd agree with the year. I think there should be things done about it. There should be things on social media. There should be things on. I mean, you see enough. I mean, this isn't me like pointing fingers or anything, but you see enough adverts for women's health on TV all the time. You never see men's.
No.
Never.
Very rarely. There was one the other day I saw, and that was because it was Movember, and that was, I think it was, I can't think of the ladies' lunch. What is it? What's the lunch thing for the ladies called? I don't know. A mid-morning programs or mid-afternoon. Loose Women.
Oh, Loose Women.
Loose Men. They actually did a Loose Men where they actually concentrated on Movember and testicular cancer. They actually have showing how to check the boys.
Which is good. It's how it should be. But like I said, I personally think this should be a year-round thing. I don't think it should just be a monthly thing.
That was shown at sort of like 12 o'clock. Most guys, no disrespect, but most guys would probably be working.
Yeah. To be fair.
So it's at men, but why couldn't it have been on primetime TV 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah. Mate, I 100% agree with you. I mean, we've all got social media. There's enough about Facebook. You know yourself, if you go onto a website, search something up, you can guarantee you'll see an ad for it on fucking Facebook 30 seconds later.
Oh, yeah.
So, therefore, to me, if that sort of tracking can be done, there's no reason why men should not be seeing this stuff, to me personally. I mean, would you say as far as it should be taught in schools?
Yes, I think for men and women, it should be taught from probably high school. So what, 11 onwards when they hit? Because, like I said, it hits pre-puberty. For boys, it can hit pre-puberty. They need to sort of like encourage lads when they're doing sports and all that, and they have the shower. Just have a quick check. Make sure there's nothing, no lumps or bumps.
Yeah.
If they know what they feel like, how do they? Like Gail said, also ask when you get older. Ask your partner.
Yeah.
To check. She'll know. She'll know if there's something different about them.
Yeah, I just think there's a massive stigma with regards to men checking themselves. I just feel like there's a massive stigma. It doesn't matter where you go, what platform it is, doesn't matter anything. I can hear the dog. It just seems to be like a stigma with regards to it all.
It is. There is a big stigma, and it needs lifting.
Which is why I wanted to do this interview with yourself, because I feel like it will open a lot of eyes for a lot of people, because a lot of people wouldn't get this sort of insight.
Well, that's it. It's like testicular cancer, and I've told this to you before, is a high, for men, being a chef is a high risk area.
So what? So I know you've mentioned that to me before, but I didn't realise that being a chef actually was a high risk area for testicular cancer. Testicular cancer.
That's what I got told by my oncologist, that he's seen an influx of young men being chef.
Is that because of the heat around the groin area?
Yeah. And firemen as well.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
It's a high risk, sort of like, because of the direct heat.
So there you go. Guys, if you're a chef, if you're a fireman, make sure you get yourself checked regularly. But even if you are male in general, check yourself regularly, guys. All right, it might just save your life. Yeah. You never know.
And if you do go for an ultrasound and they mention calcifications, please keep an eye and keep minding about having a second ultrasound and a third, because when they done mine, they saw calcifications in the second one, but they dismissed it. And it was actually patients that actually got together to create the cancer.
Right. There you go. See, inside information, guys. I mean, Zeke. Bless him.
God damn.
Right. Yeah. No, honestly, mate, I just want to thank you for the interview, really, and being as open as you have been. So, thank you so much indeed.
I can do to help anybody. If I can help someone, I'm willing to do it.